15 degrees, you can see your breath. Out here in the lake of fact, breaking tables like it's poetry. Where else would you rather be? Pinto, Ron, Elvis, and the Lay Poncho. The members that you need to know. 'Cause once you out here now, your family. Where else would you rather be? Where else would you rather be?
Welcome into the Nickel City Crew. I am your host, Rob Crippen. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Nickel City Crew. This episode, along with all of our episodes, are presented by Crippen Legacy Entertainment here on Spreaker and StreamYard. We're so glad that you're joining us for some of your Buffalo Bills and NFL content again today. And as always, these are my Bills thoughts said out loud.
It's a vibe so ridiculous. Since 12 plus 83 was 6. The shout rocking like a symphony. Where else would you rather be?
All right, let's get straight to it. Really excited for tonight's episode. As always, click clack, we are back. Last night was interesting and definitely had some drama to it for sure between the Bills and the Sabres. And it was funny because just the way that the night was unfolding, you kind of looked at the clock and you're like, well, Sabres game should be done by the time that the Bills are on the clock at 26. And then all of a sudden, Sabres game goes well. They go ahead and take the 2-1 series lead. And all of a sudden, Brandon Beane's on the clock and he trades back. And then Brandon Beane's on the clock again at 28 and he trades back. Then he's on the clock at 31 and he trades back again. Joining me tonight to kind of unpack it all, as always, my co-host, Riding Shotgun, Adam Dump Truck Rupsick. Check him out on Instagram and Twitter at Adam Rupsick, RUPCZYK. Holla at the crew, DT. I mean, we got to talk about Trader Beane. I mean, he's living up to that moniker, man. He likes to make moves. We'll have to talk about it tonight.
Nickel City, what's up? What's up, Rob? Happy Friday. As we end April already, man. Shit, we're into the draft and, schedule coming out a few weeks later and we're rolling. So good time to be in Buffalo for sure. Interesting draft time. This is the most interesting draft time I've had and since I've lived up here for sure, with the Sabres rocking and rolling and really don't know what we're going to do with this new regime, coming into the Buffalo Bills. So I want to know how many of those fans out there did what I did last night. We had the nice, the obviously living room junior, living room senior, dual screen action per usual here at the Batch Pad. That's why we do it.
Right.
And as soon as the Sabres game ended, didn't even watch post game or anything, clicked it off right over the draft, 4 or 5 picks away, all good. As soon as they trade, what happens, Rob? Turn the TV off. All right, I'm going to bed. Get into my bedroom, look at the phone. Oh, they only traded back to 28. I didn't even see they only traded back to 28. Walk back out the living room. What do you do? Flip it back on. Gets to 28, trade again. Go back to bed. Oh, they only moved back to 31. Go back out, trade it out. I said, all right, well, I'm actually going to bed this time. So they had me back and forth from the bedroom 3 times last night, Rob, to see what was going on. But hey, you can't be too surprised. This is what they were kind of talking about all week. This is might be a possibility. And, as much as some people thought it might have been a smokescreen, it wasn't. And we got some capital for it, and we'll dig into that tonight. But Beane, say what you want. If you like it or don't like it, the dude made moves and got a lot of picks from it. We went from 6 picks to 9. And here we are in day 2 about to start it off. So ready to rock.
Yeah, man. It's interesting because, I told you last week and I told Nickel City Crew and people on Twitter in my space and in our spaces that I'm always a part of that, I'm on team trade back. I know that we've got a lot of holes to fill when it comes to Jim Leonard's new defense and need some depth and things like that. So I was always on board with the trade back. I didn't expect 3 of them. I'll be honest about that. And it's funny because all of the prospects and all of the guys that it seemed like the Bills might be targeting were just coming right off the board right before. We all talked about how much everybody loved the idea of Casey Concepcion and the things that he brings with his speed to the team. And all of a sudden, it's over for him. He's gone to Cleveland. And then, they talked about the boy Thieneman from the safety from Oregon, who wasn't even supposed to be there at that position in the draft, was there on the board. Then all of a sudden he goes. And it was a situation where Keem Mesidor, the nice defensive end from Miami, the national championship runner-up, He was gone. And all of a sudden, 1, 2, 3, I think it might have been a situation where Beane was like, you know what? Some of the guys that I thought that I might want to take at 26 are no longer there. Let me get out of here. Let me try to recoup that second round pick. And we always thought that that was a popular idea, DT. We talked about it last week. Beane doesn't like to sit on his hands. He doesn't like to see the board just kind of scrolling along. He gets antsy and things like that. That's what he wants to do, those trade ups and stuff like that. And in the offseason, it was so funny because he had said, you know, sometimes I've got to have somebody in there to kind of stop me from moving up and stop me from trading up because I like the action so much. Well, he trades back 3 different times, DT, and you're absolutely right. Accumulates picks for that. And now, DT, we're starting off the second round pretty much. I think it's the 3rd pick in the second round. We're starting off the day for the 3rd round. And then we've got 3 4th round picks, 2 5th round picks. So, DT, it happened hot and heavy, but if it was a situation where he didn't feel in love with a prospect at 26 or 28 or 31 and thought that he can get a guy that's going to fit his needs at 35 tonight, I have a tough time being upset with it because of the fact that I know how much this guy loves the action and he wants to find a way to fill holes. And we've got plenty of them to fill on defense when it comes to the depth.
Yeah, as much as secretive as it is, I think there was some clarity as well with it. And I can get behind both narratives, Rob, and the fact of KC Concepcion was a big name really since, you know, this whole time. He came in for a top 30 visit. We're on the receiver train as a fan base all the time. And, you know, that was something that the Bills thought could be a possibility, and the Mafia and Nickel City crew did too. When he went, I think that kind of opened up the floodgates. Okay, he's gone. Let's look and see what we can do and trade back. Or was that not the plan at all? That was just kind of make people think we want KC Concepcion. He goes and then start trading out like you don't care. But that was the plan the whole time, to trade out and get picks anyway. When it came to the safety from Oregon, how do you say his name again, Rob?
Thieneman.
Yeah, Thieneman. So Thieneman there, I think then you kind of got caught in a hard place, because if you wanted him and he kept slipping and you wanted him to get up in front of Chicago 1 pick ahead of you, they're obviously going to know you're going after that guy. So then the price is going to be a lot steeper to go get him. And that's kind of what happened with what Houston did to Buffalo. And that's why Buffalo kind of capitalized on that trade, was because I think Buffalo knew who Houston wanted and, you know, kind of worked that in and maybe played it off like they were going to take it, got some capital to make that happen. But once you got into that mid-range, if KC Concepcion was the name and that was the name well known all over, he goes, all right, let's move back. Or that was the plan the whole time. And I don't think you could have made a move for the Thieneman because that was too obvious at that point, and the Bears would have had too high of an asking price.
Yeah, it tips your hand at that point in time. And it's funny just because, you know, I've gotten to a couple debates on Twitter today while I was working, and, you know, and some people were like, well, you know, what's the difference? And you know, and what's the difference between the 26 and 35? I really don't think that there's that much. This draft has been much maligned as a top end weak draft. We've talked about that. They said that, you know, that most of your major hits, most of the major damage that you're going to do is actually going to be in these middle rounds, this 2 to 4 range that's coming up between tonight and tomorrow afternoon when they start round 4. DT, I just, like I said, I have a tough time really poking holes in the theory and in the execution because of the fact that we didn't have a second round pick. Waiting from 26 to 91 is a long time. And that's a lot of picks to go. That's a lot of prospects to go. Who knows how many different prospects that are on their board that they would have liked within that range. So Beane finds a way to get himself back into the second round from that DJ Moore trade. And it's interesting because now, like I said, 3rd pick tonight. You've got the 2nd pick tomorrow second pick in the 3rd round to start off that round. And then you start off the 4th round tomorrow, including, you know, 3 4th round picks and 2 5th round picks. All of them are going to be back to back when it comes to the later round and 4th round. You've got pick 25 and 26. And then in the 5th round, you also have pick 27 and 28. So it'll be interesting to see what Beane does and if he stands pat. I know that we've got some theories on that, but just from the execution standpoint, I think that it's just a draft that just didn't have a lot of blue chippers. When you're drafting late in the round anyway, it's going to be hard to get a blue chipper anyway, DT. I didn't see anybody that just stuck out like a sore thumb where it was like, I would have loved Concepcion. I thought that he would have fit the offense with his speed, but after that, there's nobody. I can't get up in arms about a safety when they've already brought in a bunch of safeties. I can't go up in arms about an edge rusher. You know, who knows what Mesidor is going to be, but there's other edge rushers. There's other safeties. There's going to be other ways to fill these holes in the later rounds, DT. I'm not up in arms about any of it in that respect.
And we talk about not being full draft people and just kind of, but we had our tab on what this would be like, who would be kind of around this situation, and
Mhm.
literally everyone's there other than Casey Concepcion, right?
Yeah,
You
pretty
don't
much.
like the. I mean, I really am not worried
Caden
about the Jets.
McDonald's still there for tonight.
Yeah,
I mean,
of
there's a
course.
lot of guys
Yep.
that are
Then
still
you
there.
got
The
the,
linebackers are
that's
still
the
there.
all those linebackers and edge rushers in the SEC are still there in that run. But the fact I don't love, not scared of the Jets move by any means. They do have 3 picks in the first round, but they pick Omar Cooper from Indiana, another receiver off the board in the division. That's a receiver you might have been looking at. Obviously had the catch of the year against Penn State, and that was a huge way to get him on the radar and show his athleticism as a national champion. He goes interdivision to the Jets.
Absolutely.
You also trade in the division to the Patriots, and who knows what they got going on after a Super Bowl berth last year. But pretty much everybody in this realm of what we were looking at is still there right now, and we darn near have the first pick tonight. So we're going to have the pick of one of those people that we've been talking about for the last 2 months, with gaining all this extra capital and not picking them at 26. I mean, the Caden McDonald dude from Ohio State, if we took him at 26, people would be fine with it, I think. But now we can take him at 35, and now we got all this stuff to back us up as well. So
Right.
it all comes down to picking the right guy, obviously, but you can't knock Brandon Beane for wheeling and dealing and really making a lot happen with those 3 picks. They gain a ton of capital. Now, we talked about, is he going to keep moving? And I don't think there's going to be 9 picks. And you said it earlier, and I don't know if 9 people make the team. So how many picks do we do tonight in rounds 2 and 3? There, we only have 2 picks on the board, but I would bet we're going to see the Bills up there at least 3 times, maybe even 4 tonight.
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting thing for sure, DT, that I'm going to be looking at tonight, is because of the fact that now you've got all this ammo, you've got all these different bullets in the chamber. I can see Brandon Beane trying to package some of those 4th rounders or some of those 5th rounders to try to go ahead and get back up into the 3rd round, or even maybe sneak back up into the 2nd round in the late 2nd if he can find a way to do it. I know that the roster needs work in respects to the defensive side of the ball for Jim Leonhard. I don't think 9 players are making this team. I think that's an exorbitant amount, especially for a team with a championship, quote unquote championship roster. We're right there on the cusp of contending every single year. I don't see 9 prospects making this team. So because of that, plus the practice squad, because of that, Brandon Beane, if you don't know anything about your GM, you should know that he likes action. He likes to move around. Because of that, I could definitely see him trying to target guys. Now, at this point in time, this is where you lean into your scouts. This is where all of those guys that go across the country away from their families half the year during the college football season, this is where you're going to start to lean on those guys today. Who do you like? What did you like about this type of guy? What did the coaches say? What did the trainers say? Different things like that. They're going to be trying to pick and choose different targets that they like a lot. The guys that they like, because now that you're out of the 1st round, you have an opportunity to be kind of picky and choosy in respects to, okay, I like this guy's tape. I like his makeup. Coaches had a lot of good things to say about him. Let's go try to get this guy. Because like I've always said, the draft's a crapshoot anyway. So these are all lottery tickets. We don't know what's going to scratch off when you get them. But boy, I know that there's going to be some guys that they like a lot. And I would not be surprised if Beane tries to go and target those specific guys, get back up into that 3rd round and possibly late 2nd.
It gives me some confidence as a fan base here, Rob. It gives me confidence to the fact of, we're not just rolling through the ticker off the big board, taking the best available. Okay, this is our pick. Who's out there? Okay, yeah, that guy's good. Let's pick him. It seems to me like he's making these moves knowing, all right, our scouting team, we're stocked. We know kind of where the guys we want are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And we're making the moves to be able to be in the positions to get them, as opposed to staying put and just taking on the big board and who rolls across in front of you, more like a fantasy football draft, right?
Yeah, best player available.
This is more.
Mm-hmm.
This feels a lot more strategy to me, right? And that's glass half full, being a homer or whatever. But as me in this fan base, this gives me a lot more confidence in the fact of he's making these moves because it seems like they have a good list of guys they want to go after. And this is letting him do that, as opposed to just kind of letting the ticker roll. So in my eyes, it makes me confident going into the night that there's an actual plan. It's not just, taking what's in front of you.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I like it. Now, this is something that I heard today on GR this morning and on the morning show. And the way that they Sneaky Joe laid it out, I'm stealing it because it's too good. For those of you that were upset about the DJ Moore trade. And there were a lot of you. I know that I fought with a lot of you guys on the day of that trade about how the Bills paid too much. And that's, the second rounder, and he's on the back end of his career, and and poking holes and all of the negative things about that trade and the price that was paid. Think about it this way. They talked about it this morning, and DT, this kind of really encapsulates it for me. And I'm so, now I was already sold on DJ Moore because we needed a wide receiver one. You already know me. I need somebody to replace Stephon Diggs. Been looking for him for years. But for the people that did not like the price, listen to this. The Bills traded pick 26, pick 60, and pick 91. Okay. He trades all of those. He gets back pick 35, 66, 101, 125, 167. So that's 5 picks, and DJ Moore. When you think about it that way and how that's packaged, and when you kind of talk, it's kind of like the eye of the beholder. Like, well, when you say it that way, DT, it doesn't seem like it was that steep of a price in that respect. I was interested to think about what you thought about it because I wasn't able to get that stat. I rewound it. I was at work and I was like, let me just jot this down because that shit is gold.
Yeah.
Pick 26, 91, and pick 26, 60, and 91 out the door, but you get back 35, 66, 101, 125, 167 in a draft that's not, considered top heavy, plus DJ Moore. I'm all good with it, man. I really am. And I'm not even the biggest Beane guy, but I'm all good with that. That works for me.
Yeah.
That math
works. The biggest part, you slid it in at the end, plus DJ Moore. I mean, if we did the Waddle trade if that is even true, right? If that's even true,
right?
But if we did the Waddle trade for the first round, okay, so 26 is Jalen Waddle, and then you get you're picking at
60 and 91.
Yeah, at 60 and 91. So then you're still down 3 picks. You have Jalen Waddle, so let's call Jalen Waddle and DJ Moore a wash in that sense. So you have Jalen Waddle and 3 less picks. So is DJ Moore, if some people say, oh, he's not as good as Jalen Waddle, well, then that's why we have 3 more picks with him, right? Mm-hmm. So I agree. I think the capital is there. It's everything and I've been very vocal in saying that I don't think there's a big difference between DJ Moore and Jalen Waddle anyway. And a situation of the division isn't going to trade us that guy just for nothing, and that's part of the game. And I wouldn't, that's part of it. I wouldn't want to trade, my receiver to enter division without a first round pick either. So that's all fair on front ends. But yeah, once he kind of proved that this is what I got for it, it wasn't just the first round pick I passed on. Yes, I got rid of my second, but then I backed it up with 5 extra picks. So I think literally if you're doing it just by quantity standpoint, there's a lot more opportunity on the way we're doing it now than trading for Jalen Waddle on the first and being stuck in that 90 spot. So. And it could have been even deeper if Jalen Waddle did make us push a little harder and we go to the AFC Championship and then you're picking at 30. So these picks could have been even deeper on the board, and now we have them up. So I agree. I mean, the numbers themselves, like, love it or hate it, but the math itself, it's higher value this way than the Jalen Waddle first round would have been.
Yeah, no, and I mean, and a lot of people are mad about it on Twitter. I saw, somebody was getting at me on Twitter.
You still got to make the picks. I mean, he could be wrong. Like, he could have these 9 picks, pick 9 duds, and then you should have picked Jalen Waddle with the first. Like, that's part of it. But the math itself is there's more beer in my glass than there was, and I like more beer, Rob.
I know you do. I mean, and for me, DJ Moore, yes, Waddle's faster, but I kind of in your camp that yes, there's a difference, but because of the speed, the speed element is really the main thing. But to me, a guy that's, ultra durable, gonna be there, gonna play. He fills the role that you needed as a wide receiver 1 for 17. I just have a tough time when they laid it out that way. It made me feel even better, and I was never really mad about the second round pick. I thought it was a little steep, but it when I look at it that way, like you said, the math works for me. It fits. And, I wouldn't necessarily want to go back now. Sure, we could go back and replay it, but I just don't. The report came out and I wanted to believe it because I wanted to be mad at that point. You know what I mean? I was mad. It was trade deadline. I was ready. Pitchforks are out. I wanted to be mad at Brandon Beane. So, if the report is true that they really didn't want to deal with us and they were charging us that 2026 first rounder and they weren't going to let us defer it to 27, then I get it because we're division rivals, even regardless of the fact that they're tanking. I was in a situation where I like DJ Moore. I like the fit. I talked about it last week. I like the fact that he's worked with with Joe Brady. I think that gives me a level of comfort that Joe Brady actually knows what the hell's going on and how to utilize this guy the right way. So for me, any of you guys out there in the Mafia, Nickel City crew that are still upset thinking that we paid too much, I hope that last night Brandon Beane did a little bit to alleviate that, because now he's kind of he manufactured a second round pick out of nowhere, out of thin air, and I just have a real tough time being mad at that. I really do.
It's an interesting personality trait, Rob. I mean, the dude can't stop trading on draft day, but then can never pull a trade off in the regular season. You know, it's he loves the motion until it's the regular season. So you could take that both ways, right? You could take that as, you know, well, he doesn't know what he's doing in the draft as much, so he's just trying to make trades and he knows he can do that and get as many people as possible. So if he picks 9 people and 4 of them are good, then he's looked at as a good GM. But it's an amazing personality trait. It's how much motion this dude does on draft day since he started. This isn't just last night. I mean, they're not falling out of the first round every year, but there's always movement. That James Cook move was huge. You know, there's always movement with Brandon Beane and this, and a lot of it. I put it, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I put our transactions up there with anybody in the league since Beane's been in office there, right?
Oh yeah, he moves up, he'll move down, he'll do both.
Yeah, I think transactionally he does more than most people. But then on the flip side of that, in the regular season, he might be on the lower end of that. So an interesting personality trait. But hey, he's loading the gun, and at the end of the day, it is a numbers game. It's like a dating app, Rob. Like, yes, you pick and choose, and like, yes, there's people you see on the app that you like would want more than others. But at the end of the day, you just gotta swipe because it's a numbers game.
I love it. Tonight's episode is presented by Buffalo Fan Base, the official Bills Mafia podcast network that DT and I simulcast on. Salute to the General Justice Radford. We listen, I really appreciate them for sure. And also tonight's episode is presented by I-86 Network. Listen, our boy Tom Wujek, who gave us that wonderful open that I will never stop talking about. Bobby Hansen, they're doing a great thing over there along with their content creators. Check them both out. Check out Buffalo Fan Base. Check out I-86 Network. You won't be mad that you did. Great content pumping out of both channels. DT, as we transition to tonight, we're about 40 minutes, a little bit less away from round 2 starting. I know that you and I are not huge draft guys. I know that we don't know all of the prospects and things like that. But for me, talk to me about some of the needs that you think that we need to fill tonight in rounds 2 and 3, because regardless if he trades up more or not, we've got 2 picks, 1 in the second, 1 in the third. I think that it is, I think it's imperative that you go ahead and tackle this nose tackle position at some point in time. And then I think that you're just going to have to get a linebacker, whether that's the boy from Texas Tech, Jacob Rodriguez, or I know the Georgia boy, CJ Allen is very popular. Yep. These are players and positions more specifically that need to be addressed because of the depth. The depth needs to be addressed on this team. We talked about it many times last year and the year before and stuff like that. The AJ Klein's coming off the bench. And last year we're getting cooked because the secondary is all fucked up in the Denver game. You got Dane Jackson out there. And you've got, what's that safety's name that was getting cooked? You know what I mean? Like, listen, injuries happen. It's a war of attrition in the NFL. With a team like the Buffalo Bills that play deep into the season, you're going to have depth. I think that those are 2 positions that, whether it be a Caden McDonald or whoever at defensive tackle, I don't know all the prospects, but I do know that those are 2 positions that you're gonna have to address it. Like it's high time. That's why I think he's definitely staying. Some people are like, well, maybe he'll trade back to start the second round. No, he's gonna he did his fun and games last night. Yeah. He's picking at 35, the best player available that he feels fits the need. DT, talk to me about some of the positions that you think we have to address, because for me, defensive tackle, a true anchor, because again, I'll say again, Deion Walker is not a nose tackle. Do not take away the best things that he does. He's a polar bear with nimble feet. Don't take that away from him by making him be Ted Washington. He's not Ted Washington. And then linebacker, man, you got Bernard coming off of injury and an injury plague year. Milano, who knows if he comes back. You don't necessarily want Buffalo Joe starting for you come week 1. Those are 2 positions you got to address, in my opinion. Yeah,
I'm a lot more confident in my knowledge of the scheme of a 3-4 on the defensive line than I am in the linebacker side of things, right? In relation to how it's going to relate to the current roster we have, right? Yes, Deion Walker isn't going to be the nose tackle Oliver's not going to be the nose tackle. TJ Sanders isn't going to be the nose tackle. But the 3-4 insinuates that that's necessarily doesn't mean they're the defensive ends. You put that anchor in the middle, those nose tackle or those defensive linemen next to them, and then you still have your defensive ends rotating through that linebacker stand up or whatever the case is.
On the
So
edge.
you still need that nose tackle. Like that's a need in this defense, unless you're going to try to do something uncharacteristic.
True.
Now, in that level of, there was a lot of, guys kind of in that realm, and a couple of them got picked. That Florida kid went to the Vikings, and they basically put him at apples and orange. Like, he's the same player as the Caden McDonald from Ohio State.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, now he's getting skimpy that he might be the only one, that true big body left, and we might have to take him in this pick. Linebacker wise, I'm a little more, I don't have the knowledge on of like how that's going to look with who we have already. Like obviously Milano's free agent, but is Bernard going to be better in this with a defensive line you put a big run stuffer up front so he has a little more space in the back because he's not the biggest guy, and that has got him hurt, and a situation where he can't get on the field, and I think slowed him down last year. Does that kind of open up more weight on the defensive line, lets a smaller guy like Terrell Bernard play better along with Dorian Williams, who kind of likes to fly around a lot? Does that make them better? Or in fact, that they're going to have to do more now with the 3-4 because there's more linebackers in the fact, and Bradley Chubb isn't going to be covering people in the flat. Greg Rousseau is not going to be covering people in the flat. So you got to get that more traditional middle linebacker and let the guys like Terrell Bernard and Dorian Williams, who are a little faster, get out in those flats and make those plays. So I'm in a weird like back and forth with that of like, we got linebackers, so I don't like. It's tough for me to say yes, I want a linebacker because I want to believe in Terrell Bernard and he's made plays, and Dorian Williams has shown spots of it, and Shaq Thompson. I know he's not bad, but somebody like that, whoever we sign as a veteran this offseason, can come in and play that, or is it primitive? We definitely get that nose tackle, and I just keep leaning to like. I just know more like that nose tackle we don't have, and we can put that anchor in, and that guy McDonald's right in front of us. Like, why wouldn't we do that?
Right.
The reverse end, the depth piece of, you're putting a lot of stake into, Christian Benford, who's been relatively healthy and good for you. A lot of stake into Maxwell Harrison, who couldn't, get on the field, showed some spurts, but, had some injury problems really all year. You put all that into the cornerbacks and really bank on that, or you add the depth piece and build for the future there. I still think that's way less as a priority as opposed to the nose guard or the linebacker. So if I'm ranking those, it goes nose guard, linebacker, then a corner, depth. But on the other side of this coin, we get back to the receiver talk.
You knew where I was going.
I just want to get to the point of I don't think I'm wrong until I'm proven wrong on the fact of when we signed Stephon Diggs, we didn't draft anybody. And we knew Stephon Diggs wasn't going to be a lifetime deal.
It wasn't retiring.
We didn't know it was going to end as quick as it did. Like, but we also didn't know it was going to get the production it did in those years either. So I kind of understand why we didn't go after anybody during that time because we were getting so much production from 14. But this, I think the crucial mistake was when we let him go, we didn't replace him. We replaced him with Curtis Samuel. We replaced him with Josh Palmer. We replaced him with Keon Coleman. And they just obviously those aren't I wouldn't say Keon Coleman was even that replacement, right? Because that was the year
drafted
that
right
was the year
after. We traded him and then we drafted to Keon, it was kind of back to back, but he's not that
like
player.
The replacement I'm saying doesn't come when DJ Moore leaves in 2 years or retires in 2 years. The replacement doesn't come 2 years. The replacement comes tonight on the fact of now when DJ Moore leaves in 2 years, you got a budding superstar wide receiver that you're not paying shit to that, Josh Allen is chilling with at age 33, that's like on the flip side of the coin, I can't get away from that mindset of like, we didn't try that yet. We haven't drafted that receiver not that we don't need one, but we haven't drafted that receiver in a full receiver room to kind of bud the next wave of when DJ Moore and those guys are out, the next superstars here with us, and we're not paying them anything. So I can't get away from that. I would love to see it. And you got a few guys on the board that are doable in that spot at 35. But on the defensive side, I would rank it nose, backer, then corner.
Yeah, I mean, corner is an interesting one too, because I know that it was pissing people off when they kept mocking a corner to us in the first round. Everybody's like, "Well, we got Benford, we got Harrison," stuff like that. And I understood. I never thought that they were going to pick one in the first round. The same way I never thought they were going to pick a guard in the first round to take care of a future need. And those are kind of, to me, those are more future needs. You can find somebody off the street or draft somebody late to be a developmental piece to kind of help out. You are banking. To answer your question, DT, they are banking on Maxwell to be healthy. They are banking on Benford, who now they're paying money. He's not paid top corner money, but he's compensated now well for his time. Those are the guys. Those are your outside corners, and you bring in D. Alford to play nickel to make up for Teron Johnson. Those are the guys. That's your secondary in respects to those corners. So they are going to be kind of leaning on those guys to make things happen and make things shake. So it'll be interesting. And you always know that I'm looking at wide receivers. Denzel Boston is right there. Some people say that he's not much of a separator. He's kind of like a Keon Coleman type of clone, but that he's a better version of Keon Coleman. You've got Zachariah Branch. You've got the Chris Brazell, the huge guy from Tennessee. You've got some guys, Antonio Williams, who I do like out of Clemson. It was a big guy.
Yeah. Who's the kid from Oklahoma? What's his Burke?
Yes, Deion Burks. Chris Bell from Louisville. Now there are some receivers for sure that you're Elijah Surratt from the national championship Hoosiers.
Yeah,
There's some
and
guys
then you're
out
talking
there
that played opposite Omar Cooper there. Yeah, and now you're talking on the opposite end. Okay, we don't do it at 35, but Beane gets back up into the second or back into the third, and and then takes a receiver there. I'm just as pleased with that. I'm as pleased with the receiver at any point tonight.
Okay, second or third round.
Yeah, I'm as pleased with any receiver at any point tonight. Tomorrow, I might be a little critical. Tonight, if we get a receiver, I'm pleased with it, whether it's a 35 or whatever we get into.
Yeah, it's funny because they're, and shout out, to Jay. He's asking the same thing. Like, well, why didn't we get Boston? I just think, Jay, honestly, is that just last night wasn't the night. They had specific guys that they wanted, like we talked about. They had guys that they wanted at 26. They weren't there, and so after that, they just kind of let it
we could have got Denzel Boston. We could get Denzel Boston right now,
and we could get him tonight. So that's to answer your question, Jay. I think that's really what it comes down to, is the fact that they had a specific group maybe of guys, and we're speculating. Obviously, we don't know their board, so we're speculating, but we do think that there was right around. They went bang, bang, bang right around. It was that Thieneman, those guys. They came off the board, and after Mesidor came up, I think that Beane just said, you know what, let's pack it in, let's take these calls and let's go ahead and trade back. I did not expect 3 trade backs, but Beane never ceases to surprise us. Now, as we transition, before we wrap up tonight, because we've got the draft coming up 7:00 tonight, the Bills will pick third to start this second round, and I'm really excited to see exactly what they do after San Francisco and Arizona. DT, what were some of your surprises last night? I know that we were focused on the hockey game, and the hockey game was done. I know for me, now I know everybody's going to say Ty Simpson. I listen to podcasts all the time, stuff like that. So I had heard on Bill Simmons' podcast, McShay had already come on, and I heard him last week, and McShay is he's plugged the fuck in, and he was like, listen, I'm just telling you, I know I sound crazy. He's like, but McVay loves Simpson. He loves Simpson. So that really didn't surprise me as much. What did surprise me was really, honestly, Houston drafting like they thought that this guard is going to be a Hall of Famer, and like they gave up a lot to us to move up to grab this guard. And I don't know anything about him in that respect, but Keelan Rutledge from Georgia Tech, they paid a big price. Houston did to go get him, and that kind of stuck out to me, along with some positives. I thought Dallas had a good night. I thought the Jets had a relatively good night as well. But what stuck out to you last night? I know that Ty Simpson is kind of the main one, but anything else that stuck out to you last night?
Yeah, I mean, also on that, Houston moving up there, is that we give credit to Beane tonight on, getting quantity and getting picks, but did he have some gamemanship there to be able to swindle? Like, did he sell that we were taking this guy?
Guard, I don't know. I would have been mad as hell if they traded for,
was he selling it though, like it was for Houston to give us that haul? Like it's got to be close, right? Obviously looking at the Chiefs with 2 first-round picks, and I'm split back and forth because I want to hate on them and I want to, talk shit that they paid way too much to move up in front of Cleveland to get
Yeah,
a corner that
to get
probably would
that
have been
guy,
there at 9, no problem for them.
Delane.
And then they get, their other guy at the end of the first round. But
Peter Woods, but I don't
yep,
think he wasn't really highly as graded as Caden
yeah.
McDowell, but they liked him.
And they needed a corner. Like that was they
Absolutely.
let both their corners walk, and so they needed a corner 100%. And I hated to be there. I hated to be in that spot when we needed Kyer Elam and we needed a corner bad, and we had to jump there, and I hated that. And they had to do it in the top 10 of the draft where of those corners, really, you rarely ever see, other than like Sauce Gardner, you ever see a top 10 corner real. They're always 15 to 30 in that range in the first round. So the Chiefs kind of moving up awkwardly, knowing that I think Cleveland was going to get that guy. So smart on Cleveland's part to move back and,
Sure.
get their tackle they wanted anyway. And then they were still able to get the receiver in Concepcion, obviously. No skill players, which I'm fine with on the Chiefs. That's really what my thing was. 2 first-round picks for the Kansas City Chiefs, and it went about as good as I could have anticipated from a Chiefs hater, right? That they didn't go get some skill player. They didn't get a Carnell Tate or something shit crazy, in that top 10 pick. So that's what I was kind of looking at. Obviously the Ty Simpson thing, but like you said, if McVay was liking him, they're building. This is what I was talking about, building for with a receiver. A couple years later, Matt Stafford's definitely on the end, and if you don't have a quarterback, and or is it just the Rams haven't had a first round pick in 10 years and they didn't know what to do, but.
No, they got to prepare for life after him.
Yeah, I thought the Jets obviously loaded up. It seems like they're picking tight ends every year. It seems like there's a new tight end on the Jets every year.
Yeah,
and they have like a couple good weeks, and like everyone picks them up in fantasy, and then they just kind of suck because they don't have a quarterback, and it's Geno Smith. So I'm surprised, even with those 3 picks, that they didn't take a quarterback. It was surprising to me.
I think everybody's waiting on 27. Everybody's waiting for next year's draft. There's just so many guys, Arch Manning and all. Everybody's kind of just waiting for that
chilling
big
this
class
year.
to
But
come out. Yeah,
those were my big takeaways of the first. Was I had my eyes on the Chiefs pretty heavily, and it went about as good as I could have. If I had to say, hey, this is what I want. If the Chiefs are picking twice, pick this some corner early and this later, I would have said that. So
yeah, and how about the host city, Pittsburgh, getting sniped?
Oh, they got sniped
by their Keystone State rivals.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Lemon.
I've seen a whole bunch of shit
Kai Lemon,
on Instagram about that. Yeah, I just thought that was real funny. I don't have anything against Pittsburgh or anything like that, but it is clear. I know we don't get into too much of the other stuff, but it is clear that AJ Brown is on his way out of Philly, and the reports were coming out that he's going to New England, and New England is going through their own thing. Before we wrap up tonight, DT, I guess we could touch on it just as much as you want to touch on it, whatever you feel comfortable touch on it, because to me, it's been interesting. I have fought with a lot of people on Twitter. So before I give my take as we begin to wrap up tonight, what's your take on it? Because they're going through a lot of stuff, obviously, in New England. That's never sad for Buffalo Bills fans to see. But I've got a kind of a different take on it, for sure. But what do you make? What do you make of it?
I mean, whatever. To be honest, like I'm not going to disappoint myself by putting a lot of stock into this, and then and the Patriots are just as good next year, and they're a force. You're going to have to still play them and face this guy, right? So I'm not going to disappoint myself and get too into this and be like, oh, you guys are.
I don't think he's getting fired. Correct. I think there would be a consensus on that.
0.0% chance
he's not losing his job.
Even if all this is true of like what's going on, which most likely it's not. Not I'm saying it's not true, but like the intensity of it, of what people are saying is true. Like even if all that was true, he's not getting fired. There's nothing illegal he did, but
yeah.
I mean, for her, it's definitely a lot worse.
Some people are trying to say here, so just so you know, some people are trying to say that this was all for insider information, and I keep telling people on Twitter that is not how men work. Like that. Well, most men, that's not how we're not doing. And then it comes out yesterday that they've been doing it for 6 years, or there's photos at least for 6. I'm like, it's not. This wasn't. I'm like, well, if it was for insider information, what did it yield his Tennessee Titan teams? I said, what? So he got one number one overall seed. in the AFC, and then they lost. Right, like what did he gain from insider? I'm like, I'm just not getting it. And like, oh well, they traded inside for information to them, so that's how they're getting AJ Brown. I'm like, you don't think that the Patriots could get in contact with Howie Roseman about AJ Brown? Like what? Like what are we talking about here?
And the dude has been talked about getting traded for 2 years every single day.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah,
the dude's been talked about getting traded the last 2 years every day. Yeah, no, that's BS. I think on her end, there's a little different because that's a little more intense. If she is doing this to get information, that helps her vote her higher into the job and get the leak on things, before others strictly because of this, then that's a little messier than, Mike Vrabel, cheating on his wife.
Yeah. I mean, I just told a lot of people on Twitter just to relax and that this is this should be something that is focused on between them, their spouses and their family. Those are the people that really should care. And it triggered something for me because of the fact that I've got PTSD from Tiger Woods. I didn't think that it was anybody's fucking business what was going on with Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
And then all the sponsors drop him. And then all of the, all of his colleagues out there. And like some of those guys were cheating on their wives too. We don't know. And that's literally my whole point is that we don't know what's happening with these athletes and entertainers behind closed doors. So let's take a step back. Let's just let them play it out. They'll figure it out. These are their lives. But I was never comfortable with like, oh my gosh, this guy needs to be fired or this. I just never was able to connect the dots.
I hope it leads to distractions. I hope it leads to distractions. In week 1, they're still asking him about it, right?
Sure.
I hope that. But like, the dude's not getting fired. No shot. He's a Patriot. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a Patriot Hall of Famer. This is 0% chance he's getting fired, especially with Robert Kraft. Liking what he likes in the old massage parlors.
That's what I said.
That's it is what it is. And I mean, shit. Bringing up the Tiger point, Tiger's lucky that was pre-social media. Really, it was the internet was just getting started, and now they still dragged him. And this is a couple photos, and people are pulling up tweets and pictures from 10 years ago for Vrabel and Rossini. It's nuts. A lesson to be learned. Like you're never safe. You're never safe out there. And the way the internet's undefeated, they'll find you and they'll take you down. This was obviously a hit job on all accounts. Like somebody randomly didn't just see them.
No, I think
on another terrace.
The plugs are saying that one of the spouses hired a PI because they were suspecting.
It wasn't like somebody was just having their coffee on a terrace and was like, "Is that Mike Vrabel, Diane Rossini?" Like, who would he be? Like, you might be able to pick Mike Vrabel out, but who the hell's picking Diana Rossini out of a blind lineup?
No, not the average person.
So that was obviously professional. Somebody was tracking them. It came out, and then now there's breadcrumbs that show it. So, I love it. I hope it does lead to distraction to the Patriots organization, and they make some bad calls this weekend because of it. But the dude's not getting fired, and you still got to play him twice a year with AJ Brown now. So buckle up and whatever.
Get ready. Yeah. We're not going to get a freebie on that one. So as we wrap up tonight, DT. The Nickel City Crew Tailgate Report presented by Queen City Vintage. Check out Queen City Vintage for all of your Buffalo Bills, Buffalo Sabres vintage gear. Listen, we love our boy over there, Kai. Listen, they're doing their thing. They've got their shit right, Nick. They got it all. They've got it all locked down. Please check out Queen City Vintage. They're right there on Elmwood across from 40 Thieves. DT. How has it been there? We talked about the playoff atmosphere. I'm going to wear my hat until we're out of the playoffs. We've never done Nickel City Crew during a Sabres playoff. First time that we get a chance to do this. So this is my official playoff beard. I'm not going to grow up. I'll still get my hair cut, but I will wear the hat until the Sabres are out. It was pretty cool last night to see the Sabres get back on their wagon. They were looking good and had a nice solid game where they just controlled the puck the entire time. Talk to me about how it's been the vibes there in the city, because I know that they're getting ready for Sunday, and then then the Sabres will be back in town next week, and hopefully they get a chance to wrap this thing up.
I'll tell you, Rob, this has been one of the most incredible weeks I've seen, in Buffalo since I've lived here, since I've heard, since anything. This has been incredible. I mean, I love the Bills season. I love a fall day on game day, coming out and seeing all the flags, people at Wegmans in their jerseys. That's just the way of life, right? That's why we love it up here. That's just the way of life. But and obviously the the tailgates get crazy and you get bumping, but it's more, it's a way of life. It's routine. It's not that it doesn't lose luster. It's still full. Bills Mafia is still full.
It's just what we do.
It's just what we do. Yeah, it's just what we do. It's our job at some points. This seems a little different. This seems like a party, and
Like
you
Mardi
hit
Gras.
you hit a 6 scratch off the day you were leaving for vacation, so you got a little extra cash in your pocket, and you're in vacation just kind of like with no
care in the world.
doubts, nothing. And it's been an outstanding week. Credit to the city of Buffalo and for really putting on a good show. Credit to the fans for really coming out and showing out. I mean, Sunday, I didn't make it downtown, but
Right.
obviously the game was insane. And the clips, as everyone I'm sure have seen, the comeback victory. Everybody I know that was there said, they've been to plenty of Bills games. It's been real loud on third down. Nothing has been louder than that Sunday, that third period when Samuelson scored the go up. Nothing that was heard has been louder than that. And then Tuesday, I went down into the scene. I didn't go to the game. But I went down to the scene right after work just to kind of see what it was about. I got there. Puck drop was at 7:30. I got wheels down. I was out of the car at 4:30. And you saw the videos, Rob. I mean, maybe we put them up on our Instagram or something this week. But it was insano. It was 3 hours before puck drop, and it wasn't just a couple bars had some people in them. The bars were completely full. People were out in the streets. The guys that were skating, the roller skating guys had a whole 1,000 people around them doing like a little show. Like it's like it's like a traveling circus. And it was just everyone's in a good mood. Everyone's happy. You didn't see a lot of Boston people, and it was a great night. Good weather, and then obviously they were away last night. Game got back on track, and got the dub. Sunday I think is going to be ripping here. It's a matinee game. People like getting out for a little Sunday fun day. The weather looks a little better.
Get some mimosas, get some brunch,
and then boom, they could have the clincher on Tuesday back downtown, and I think it's just going to be just the same. Everyone rolling back out to see him clinch and move on, and I think that's going to be the vibe the whole playoffs, and hopefully they go as far as the whole way because that's going to be awesome. But definitely shout out to Queen City Vintage, our sponsor on the Tailgate Report. Nick's a little nervous. He's got a lot more Bill stuff than he does Sabre stuff. He's got a lot more Bill stuff to sell than he does Sabre stuff, Rob. And so they had a big event last night down at Chandler Street Brewing. And he said the people at Chandler Street were getting upset almost because they had so many people show up there for the game and they couldn't keep up. The bartenders couldn't keep up with the drinks. It was too packed. They go, geez, we didn't realize you guys were going to bring a crowd like this. And they're like, hey, we're big. Queen City Vintage is big. And two, the people are taking this playoff run serious, because
they're swept up
who knows if we got to wait another 15 years before we do it again. So let's buckle in. Sabres, I love it. It's been a great week. Awesome. The city is literally buzzing, man. It's buzzing, and it's all around nice. So I guess going to look forward to the draft tonight and tomorrow, but I cannot wait for 2:00 on Sunday, Rob. It is must see right now out here. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, man. That's a perfect plan. You go get some breakfast, get some brunch, get some mimosas, and then head downtown. And you'll be in a situation where, like, DT is right. I've seen the videos, and just, it's crawling. Like, they're just everywhere. I just saw on Instagram today that Lancaster had a party last night, a watch party. They just shut down the whole street, and people are just sitting there in the middle of the street.
5,000 people in the street of Lancaster.
I was like, I didn't even know there are 5,000 people in Lancaster. Yeah. It's amazing, man. I think that it's just so cool because of the fact that, like, it's what we talked about, last week and what we've always talked about with the Bills. Just the wait makes it that much sweeter. Yes, the drought sucked. Yes, it was horrible. But boy, when I got down there to Jacksonville, when I tell you, like, I had no care, like you said, no care in the world. Yep. I had no care in the world. I did. Yes, I cared. Like, it took me, I tell the story all the time. It took me a half to realize that I'm at a football game and I'm like, holy shit. Like, we could win this game. These guys are fucking horrible. Like, let's win the first half, the tailgate. I just didn't care. I didn't care, DT. I just want to do it, just soak it all in and enjoy it. So I am so excited for the city of Buffalo, like you said, Sabres fans, the diehards, like the ones like you and me for the Bills, the diehards that just, it's their way of life. They watch every game. They don't miss any puck drops. They've been through all the shitty teams and the tanking, and then they get Eichel and Reinhardt, and they're still shitty, and then they want to leave, and then, Riley leaves, and he goes, wins a cup. Then Jack leaves, he goes, wins a cup. Then fucking Sam, I'm like, what? Like, is this a hex? Like, how did all these great players leave, and then they win the cup the very next year? So I am really excited for the Sabres fans and really the diehards. That's the ones that I think about. Like we said last week, everybody can get on the bandwagon. We're cool. Everybody coming on, and it's all good because we're all one Buffalo. But for those diehards, I know that it's got to be sweet. the goal for Samuelson, I must have listened to that and must have watched it like 50 times. And then somebody came out with like no commentary on it, and it was just the sound of the crowd.
Crowd sound, yeah.
Holy shit, because they yelled twice. They yelled right when he got that pass, and then they yelled again like right before. They're like, and then when and it was like, man,
it's crazy how you hear a whole arena like gasp at the same time and cheer. Like,
man, it was crazy when he got that pass, they all and then they just exploded.
Bang.
They exploded. So it's been really fun to watch.
I will say, let's stay positive. What are we calling Sabres Mafia, whatever, diehard.
I don't know.
I'm a Sabres fan, but I wouldn't consider myself in the mafia of the Sabres. I'm a made man in the Bills Mafia, but Sabres I'm honorary, right? So I would say, let's keep it positive. Sabres Mafia. It's not a competition just because now everyone's on their high horse. You don't got to start talking about it's a hockey town, all this bullshit. I don't want to hear that. Don't be bad mouthing 1-7 because he beats the drum and you get your ass kicked. We ain't hearing that either. Like, we ain't hearing that. So hey, have fun, kids. But let's watch it a little bit.
Bring his ass back anymore. I was dying.
Let's watch your mouth a little bit in that. Like, I go out of town and I tell somebody I'm from Buffalo and they talk about Josh Allen. They no offense, they ain't talking about Tage Thompson. And
I know, DT. Let's keep it positive. Like that's a different.
That's just Nickel City crew. Me saying, diehard Sabres. I'm glad it's a good vibe. Just take it easy a little bit.
No, man, it's all good, man. It's all love. We're all one Buffalo, and I always say that for sure. I used to get upset when people say it's a hockey town, and I'm like, there's just no comparison. But like I said last week, now is not the time. Let's roll. I will wear this playoff hat throughout the playoffs until the Sabres bow out, and hopefully that is not until we're lifting Lord Stanley's Cup. And I somebody asked the other day, like, well, what would you rather have? The Bills win the Super Bowl? I'm like who fuck, this is a dumb fucking question. Like we would love for a championship regardless. Like it's not a competition. The DT's absolutely right. If they win the cup, I will be happy as hell. I won't be getting in my car, like I said last week, to drive up because I'm a Sabres fan. That Monday, I'm driving up and I'll be ready for the parade whenever it happens on Tuesday or Wednesday. So that's just a different fandom that I have. But I am so excited. Like I said last week, keep it up, Sabres. Go Sabres, whatever y'all say, man. I'm down with it, man. And let's keep it going as long as we can. DT, I'm excited for this weekend. You're absolutely right. Let me know what happens on Sunday for sure if you head down there and what's going on, because you're absolutely right. They could dominate again on Sunday. They had the puck all night last night. They could dominate on Sunday and come back. And wouldn't that be fucking sweet to close out the series in front of your home fans at KeyBank? That'll just be the icing on the cake, man. That'll be a nice little cherry on top for sure.
Yeah, get some rest before, if you do advance, not to get too far ahead, but if you do advance, that Montreal Tampa series is, they're battling each other, and that's going to be a hard one to get through too. So you want to win as quick as possible, obviously. You want to win as quick as possible, obviously. And come back, do it in front of this crazed fan base, and give them some time to kind of dry out, until the next week when the next series start, and then we can give that energy right back.
Yeah, I love it. Listen, man, out there, enjoy your weekend, Bills Mafia. Enjoy the draft. Enjoy the Sabres. Again, in a couple minutes, the Bills will kick off round 2. As of now, they are picking third. Brandon Beane likes to wheel and deal. We'll see if he stays there. I suspect that he will and take, what do they say? BPA, the best player available. Shout out to all of you. I see you guys, over 450 people, DT, watching us. We really appreciate you guys. Last week, shout out as well. Whole bunch of people went back and watched that didn't catch it live, but went back and watched on my Twitter and went on Buffalo fan base Twitter and watched. And I saw you guys, man. I just DT already knows how much gratitude I have. We would not be doing this if it wasn't for you guys. I was doing it because I just talk about the Bills all the fucking time and I'm a maniac. So I said, I might as well start saying this stuff out loud. And that's literally the moniker of the show, Bills Thoughts Said Out Loud. And DT joined me shortly thereafter. So the fans are what makes the show go. We really appreciate you guys. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe out there this weekend. Enjoy the draft tonight and tomorrow. DT, nothing really else to say, man. Listen, enjoy it tonight. Have a fun weekend, my brother, man. Listen, go Bills, go Sabres. Hit me with it. You got to say go. I think it's Sabres. I think they like to say
Sabres. Go Bills. Go Sabres. Go Bills.
Oh, I love it, man. Please, out there, spread love, not hate. Oh, I love it.